Hi, I'm Andrew,
And I'm Sam.
and we're MV Board Gaming, and today we're going to be taking a look at Cryptic Nature, published by ID Venture Games. I'm going to give you a really brief overview about how the game works, and then we're going to come back and give you our thoughts on the game. All right, so I've gone ahead and I've set up as much as I can of the game because this is a bit of a table hog for Cryptic Nature. This is just going to be a really brief, quick overview of the game to give you an idea of how it plays. So, in Cryptic Nature, what you are doing is you are cryptozoologists that are going out collecting evidence, listening to rumors in order to track down and catch these cryptids. And then, in order to try and maybe meet some achievements, and also safely place them in a sanctuary. Now, each round is going to be broken up into two phases. Okay, you're going to have a cryptozoologist phase where you're going to be running around on the board, and then you're going to have an assistant phase, which is going to let you do a number of other things too. So I will go over those. Okay, so let's just jump right into how a typical round is going to work. So the first player during the cryptozoologist phase, the very first player is going to take these assistance dice and roll them and set them off to the side. These will be used later. Then on your turn, you can perform in any order a main movement, a main action, and any number of skills that you have. And they're tracked easily here on your board. So here in the blue cubes, these are going to be your mandatory actions that you're going to have. You're going to have your move and then your main action. And then right now, you're only going to start with one of your skills that you have available to you. So if you do a move, you can move up to 2 spaces. So currently, I'm going to put this here so you can see this a little bit better. If I do a move, I can move up to 2 spaces. From here, I will follow the lines. I'm at Nance right now, so let's just say I want to move here to W3. Okay, so I can move. I cannot stop, do something, and then continue my movement. Once I stop, I'm done moving. Then I can perform a main action. There are 5 things that you can do as a main action. You can take another move as a main action. You can also collect evidence. So I can pick up one of these tokens to use if I'm trying to track down a specific cryptid. And at the beginning of the game, we chose the cryptids that we are interested in going after. You can play with this little variant or not. It's totally up to you. But let's say I was going after this guy here. So as my main action, I decide to collect this rumor evidence. I put it on my board and I move that over to show that I use that. Another thing that I can do on my turn is that I can, instead of collecting evidence, I can track a cryptid. So once I have the evidence that I need and I go to the location of that cryptid, I can try to catch it. And what I'm going to do is, if I have all the correct evidence, I would simply discard it and take that cryptid. I would have tracked it down. If not, let's say I only had the one evidence, I would then have to roll a dice, one of these dice, or 2, depending on how much evidence I have. So for each missing evidence, I would roll 1 additional dice. So if I was going for this one here, and I was in this space, I had only 1, I would have to roll this dice to as an attempt. It wouldn't be necessarily automatic that I would track this cryptid. I would roll the dice, and if I rolled a yellow at this point in the stage, it would not count as a success. If I roll, because it's a lucky symbol. If I roll a red, it means I would fail. If I roll a green, then that would mean I would succeed. If I failed, I would discard one of my unused evidence and I would gain an experience token for later. Okay? If I succeeded, then I would take that cryptid and I would get that. And these cryptids have end of game abilities. Some would have, if you failed to find them, abilities. Some say that when you relocate them. Some are when they're found. It just kind of depends. They might have abilities that trigger when you get them. So that's one action you can take. Another main action you can do is relocating a cryptid. So throughout the game, these tiles are going to be placed here in the sanctuary. And if you are in a city during this time and you want to, let's say I had caught this individual, I would have a little polyomino. I would find that tile and I would get it. And if I have blue spaces here on the board, so I'll set this up real quick. Let's say it was like this, right? Okay. And I had that polyomino tile and I'm in a city. I can then place that polyomino tile on the blue, right? Because he's a blue tile. He goes on a blue terrain. I would place him on that sanctuary, or I could use him to fulfill a request. If I had, for example, this one's 2 fish icons, so I'd have to have him. And let's say I had this one as well. I could turn them in and I can get this and I would keep this and it'd be worth 4 points at the end of the game, right? Otherwise, I put their polyomino here in the sanctuary. Anything that I cover up, I get those benefits. So I can get some coins, some experience. I can get some other attributes as well. So that's one thing I can do on my turn. The other thing I can do is I can reset evidence. Okay, so only if there are 1 through 6 evidence pieces on the board. So you start off with 7. If there is less than 7, then you can reset evidence and up to 2 cryptids to get a bonus of either 3 coins, what am I thinking? An experience as well, or you get to adjust your skills. So that's what you're going to be doing on your turn. You're running around collecting this evidence and then capturing and relocating these cryptids, right? After you are done, you will then take your assistant. Once you're done with your turn, you'll take your assistant and you'll move them to the right to show that your turn is over. Okay? Everybody else will then go and they'll move their assistant over. And then once that's done, everybody's taken their main cryptozoologist phase. They're going to then go into the assistant phase. Okay? With the assistance phase, what you're going to do is the first player is going to roll these assistance dice at the start of the phase. Okay? And on your turn, you can perform in any order 1 mandatory action and any number of optional actions. So you have to decide, do I want my assistant to move up or down to the next available space? And depending on if you choose to go up or down, you will have different options available to you. So for example, if I choose to move down, okay, I move my assistant down to the next available space and I will get a bonus from one of the dice that was rolled. So I can choose some extra coins, or I can refresh some abilities on my board. So as I go, I will have, and I'll show you here in a second how you gain these extra skills. You will be able to refresh those as well. If I choose to move up instead of down, so I was here and move up, then I will move up to the next available space. And this is when I can spend any of these experience tokens or money to obtain new skills or refresh these skills. So on my player board here, you can see that I start with only these ones, but I can purchase these skills using my experience. Now, you can see that some are filled in, some are not. In a 2-player game, you will pay 1 extra. So that's where the non-filled comes in. If you're playing with more than 2 players, then you'll only pay the cost that's filled in. So it's going to cost about 2 or 3 or 1 or 2, depending on the number of players when it comes to experience. And they're going to give you access to extra abilities that you'll be able to use. However, when you use them, they'll stay used, and that's where you get to spend the money to put the token back on. So for example, if I had paid to, I already had this track a cryptic skill, I could refresh it by paying a coin, and now it's available for the next phase. Okay, so you will have That's how you're going to obtain additional skills and refreshing them. Okay. You can optionally, after you choose to do that, you can spend any number of coins to move up or down extra spaces. So if I choose to go down, I can spend money to continue to move down, or I can spend money to move up. Okay. I can also spend money to reset evidence or cryptids, and I can purchase and sell evidence on the market. Okay. So I can do that as well. And then I can move my bid marker as well if I want to change what cryptids I am going to. Whenever you do catch a cryptid, I should say, it's replaced with the next level up. So you start with level 1 cryptids, and then eventually you go to level 2, and then you go to level 3. Okay. And so once you've done that, you move your guy back over. Everybody does their assistant phase. And at the end of your turn, you will replenish the evidence market if it needs to be filled. You will place one of your terrain tiles in the sanctuary, and you will refresh your main action and your movement action markers on your player board, and you'll move your assistant back to the left. So after you do your stuff, you'll do all that, and then you go back into your cryptozoologist phase. And you'll keep doing this until there's not enough space to place one of these terrain tiles, at which point you are going to score points for the cryptids that you track down, or if you place them in the sanctuary. And you'll always mark them with your little people here to show how many you've placed, because at the end of the game, whoever has placed the most of these in the sanctuary will get an additional 2 points. You will also score victory points for public and private contracts that you'll have here that you're going to be working towards. You'll also have these objectives that you can be working towards. And then you'll also score victory points for, let me make sure I don't miss anything. I already went over cryptids. You will also score points for every $5. So if you have leftover evidence for every 5 coins you have left, that will also score you victory points. You will also score victory points for leftover experience. So you'll get points for those as well. If you have cryptids that have end of game abilities that score you victory points, you will get those. For the experience, you get 1 point for every 3. So keep that in mind. And yeah, I already talked about whoever has the most here gets 2 points. And that's it. Yeah, whoever has the most points at the end of that wins. If it is a tie, then whoever found the most cryptids is the winner. Okay? And that is a really, hopefully, quick and easily digestible overview of Cryptid Nature. Let's tell you what we think.
All right, and we are back. So starting off, this was a Kickstarter for us, right?
Yes.
This was on our top 10 most anticipated last year.
It was.
So yeah, we will just jump right in. Talking about production. I will say, I mean, I am very much a fan of the art. That's kind of, I feel like, my thing when it comes to games is I like a lot of like color and stuff. And so I did love the fact that they did so well with the art and the different creatures. I feel it's a very colorful board.
Yeah, it really pops out. Like,
yeah.
I mean, when you see just the box cover itself, you look at the game, you're like, I want to play that really badly. Like the number of cryptics that are in the game, it's just a beautiful, really good production, I think, overall. Between the art cards and just the art cards, the art on the cards, I think like everything like looks really nice. Graphic design, things look really nice. Like just quality components. Like they even have, you don't really need it, but the little sanctuary thing that has the magnet tiles. Like you don't really need magnets, but you have them, and I mean it's
they
a
have
really
those
good
boards
production.
Too that are
recessed
boards.
Yeah, I mean you have those dual layered boards, which are great. Like production, I think they just did a really, really good job. Actually, yeah. So I 100% agree. They did a great job with production. And this is the first ID Venture game I think I've played or backed or anything like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
and the theme really kind of, I think, pulled us in to
Yeah.
back it, right? It was a big thing. This last year seemed like a cryptic kind of creatures year, with wondrous creatures being another one that we were really high on as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but with that being said, I guess we'll be able to see how they kind of line up, even though they're completely different games.
Yeah.
So with that being said, so production, we agree, really good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Next will be preparation. So being able to set up, tear down, difficulty of teach. I think the setup is really easy and quick. There's not a whole lot to the setup.
Mm-hmm.
The teach isn't too bad, really. I mean, it's just the two phases. You have the, hey, you're going to do a move action and you're going to do a main action on your turn. And then, you know, you're going to be going back and forth taking these actions until, you know, whatever you go to your assistant phase and whatnot. And so, and then on that one, you either move up or down. And depending on what you choose, you're going to do more stuff. So the turns are relatively simple. Although, yeah, I don't think preparation wise it's necessarily a big lift. I don't think it's a tough one.
No.
But I'll get into, we'll breeze through that preparation and kind of jump into the gameplay.
Yeah, there's
itself,
not much
right?
for preparation.
There's really not. And I think the bulk of this conversation has to be about the gameplay, right? You know, we talked a little bit about the theme. I feel like it is relatively thematic. However, I don't. The game is a little slow for me to build up. It's the turns can become a little bit longer, and I don't know. It's a little luck based. I've really struggled with putting my thoughts into words for this game.
Yeah.
Right? Because this was a really highly anticipated game.
Right.
And I love the production, and I want to want to play it. Okay? But it feels like it was missed the mark. I'm just going to say, like, the gameplay to me just wasn't, I didn't get pulled into the theme. Like, I'm kind of walking around collecting evidence, which I get, like, but I felt like it could have been, I don't know.
There could have been more.
Right. I'm just going around gathering tokens. Right.
Right.
I'm moving around gathering tokens.
I wish there was like more interaction with like
players.
Maybe players, but like creatures too, because it's kind of like you just collect the evidence and you get it, but like not really any kind of like creature interaction or like.
Right. You just spend tokens, you get the card.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh.
Or you roll the dice, but if you fail, it kind of stinks because you lose lose like half the evidence. If you fail, you're better off just going around and collecting all the evidence and be like, okay, I got it.
And I have all of it, right? Yeah.
So it's not I agree. It's not exciting to get a cryptid.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be a little bit of a race depending, because you have your little tokens, which you can only get the ones, unless you play with the variant, you don't have to play with them. And you can only get the ones that you have your token on.
There's not any kind of like wooden tokens for them either. It's just like a card.
No, they're a little polyomino tile.
Card. Right.
And so, yeah, it doesn't feel exciting to catch a cryptid, right?
Yeah.
I want to be like, oh man, I heard this rumor that it could be in this area, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know where the cryptid's going to be. It's on the card, right? You know what you have to collect, but it doesn't feel like much of a adventure to collect these items, and catching them, I don't feel that excited. And to be honest, the game is relatively low scoring. Like, I feel like you spend a lot of time doing stuff, and ultimately you don't get very rewarded. Your reward is like,
it is very slow, and then the reward, like, it kind of falls short, like, okay,
right,
like,
and the game ends when that polyomino board, kind of like when you can no longer place tiles, it, like, I don't know, I feel like it makes the game drag out. It's slow. I do like the idea of having my personal board that I can buy upgrades. Like, that's cool when I can upgrade the actions that I do, or be able to take extra actions because I have a skill or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
really like using my experience and upgrading my player. I just and that was probably maybe one of my favorite parts, but some of those abilities I don't ever upgrade just because like I don't like to lose half my stuff. So maybe
Right.
you get luck, but I always feel like in all the games we play, everybody always just collects all the evidence kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it just wasn't. It didn't. The gameplay couldn't keep me enticed. The
Mm-hmm.
art, the components, like it gets you excited to play the game, and then it's just stagnant.
Well, and I think like we're very like thematic. I mean me definitely like thematic in playing games. So like want to feel like you're getting these creatures but or getting evidence, but it
Right.
didn't feel very thematic. It felt very like blah,
Right.
and wasn't as exciting as we'd hoped
Yeah,
it
I
would
didn't feel
be.
like there was a ton of strategy. It was just kind of like, oh, I'll go here. I
Hmm.
don't know. It was just blah. Yeah,
Was
I
it
think
like 4 player too? Because we played
we
it.
played it with Nick and Vic as well. We played it two. We played it at
Yeah,
four.
yeah.
But in at four, I was kind of like
It
once you're
did
like
take a
halfway, you're kind
very
of like, I'm
long
ready for this to
time.
be done. I don't know.
Yeah,
It says 90 minutes on the
yeah.
box,
It is 90.
but I feel like even if it was 90, I feel like it felt longer
Yeah.
because it wasn't. It didn't have that excitement. It didn't have
Hmm.
that. I don't know. It didn't have the intriguing. I, I didn't feel like I was making like really in depth decisions kind of thing. Like
Mm.
it just kind of missed. And so, yeah. So as much, I guess we'll jump into return on investment, right?
Mhm.
I had high expectations. It was a highly anticipated game.
Mhm.
Um, but my joy, I want to like it, and
Yeah.
I want to give it a high score. Like, but I think that's because I'm like, look, it's Cryptid, it's awesome,
Yeah.
but the gameplay is just not there. It's just
Maybe if they like added
eh,
more to it, I don't know.
right.
But
And like even with the expansions, like I can't bring myself to want to get it back to the table. And honestly, the gameplay itself is kind of forgettable.
yeah,
Like you'd be like, "What
true.
game is this? Like, what do you do?"
Yeah, it was very
Oh, it's
faint.
okay. It's
Yeah.
just kind of boring in my opinion.
Yeah.
Some people might really like it, but I thought it outstayed its welcome, and it was just a beautiful game, but it was an ugly duckling on the inside.
Yeah, I feel like it's missing something, and I don't know. Maybe it's possible if expansions come out, like it
Well, they
might.
have the flora and they have the island ones, but again, it doesn't
Yeah.
like. If anything, I think it makes the game. I don't know. It doesn't add like anything exciting to the
Oh, yeah.
games. You know?
I don't know. Yeah, I
I
felt
don't
like it
think
was
more
kind
content
of.
will make it better.
Yeah, I definitely I was kind of like, oh, it might be like as good as like Wondrous Creatures, but like it just wasn't. I mean, they're
Yeah.
completely different, but it just wasn't that level of
It
excitement.
didn't bring in the excitement of these cryptids that
Hmm.
you have
Yeah,
or that you're
didn't really do them justice.
right. Yeah, these
Yeah,
amazing creatures.
yeah,
Yeah, and putting them all in the same sanctuary, I don't know, it's weird, but it is what
yeah.
it is. Anyway, what would
I
you give the score for this game?
Well, I had high expectations for it. Just, I mean, I didn't know like a ton about it, but it was on our anticipated list. So, I mean, it did fall short for me,
Mm,
and I don't know. I'd maybe give it like a 6.5,
oh, okay.
which is a lot lower than I thought I would. Like I really thought like, oh, it's got like creatures and kind of, that's my thing.
Right.
And yeah, I was a little bummed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for me, it's just I kept and the thing is we've had this game for a while and I've been wanting to review it, but I just haven't been able to get my thoughts together because
yeah.
it's just this is definitely one of the bummers of 2024.
Yeah.
Kind of a letdown, and so every time I think about my score, it keeps dropping. And I think for me, this is a five.
Mm.
It's just, I'm ready. I don't want to play it again. Like I'm done with it being the
Really?
thing, which is sad.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, but it is what it is. So,
Some people might like it. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, maybe this is something for you. Just really missed the mark of disappointment for us. So,
Sadly.
beautiful game though, really beautiful art.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I would love to just have this as like a poster or painting or whatever. Like it's gorgeous there. Just not enough excitement for us. So that's going to do it for our thoughts on Cryptic Nature. Let us know what your thoughts are down in the comments, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.
See ya.